So honestly, this is gonna be like a really raw and unedited process of a video because I've been holding back on this idea for a while, but it's more so of like I wanted to more or less kind of document the thought process behind VTubing and behind honestly just content creation and as a general, mostly due to the fact that regardless of what I'm doing, I'm still staying true to myself, even if a ton of factors change. Yep. Yeah, girl. Sorry, my cat is on my lap right now, and she's enjoying my presence, which honestly I really find very lovely. Now, forgive me because my audio isn't all the way figured out, and honestly, I still plan to change this. Which is also one of the few things that this YouTube video will also help me figure out, is that when I'm done uploading this and I'm like going through it, watching it through, I can more or less kind of pinpoint the things that I need to fix for my stream. On top of that, and also make the quality better for you guys overall going forward. Um, Now I do have gain, I have compressor, and I have a side chain compressor for the game audio as well. But I've honestly wanted to kind of just keep going forward because this is one of the few things where I can just straight up do right here. Now this is a Minecraft Java 26.1 or 26.12. So honestly, I'm not even aware of what's going on all the way in Java. I've also never really had much thought behind a lot of this stuff here. So this is gonna be like an entirely new process for you and me as well. But I guess before we really get into this whole thing, I want to really introduce myself as a person as well. And honestly, let me lower the game on that right now for you guys, because I can kind of I'm also queuing it, so it's not too loud, but it's also like I don't really know if it's ever gonna be loud enough, you know? Because right now it's like the wood breaking seems louder to me than it should seem to you guys. So honestly, let me go down to 10 minus 12. Oh no, 13 minus 13. And hopefully this changes or fixes some things. If not, that's fine. I can always kind of like go back into this later on in the future, and you know, this could be the one of the first. This could be one of the first few things I fix. Now, this is the one interesting adventure, and I don't know if you noticed, but I've named the world Inside Thoughts or Inside Process. That's kind of really what I want to get into. It's more of like an inside process for me to understand that hey, change is gonna be okay. It's gonna be indirect. There's a lot of cows here, actually. I don't realize it. And honestly, realistically speaking, it's okay for change to happen. It's gonna be one of those few things that I've got to get used to. And honestly, as much as I want to say that I'm used to it, I'm not used to it. Mostly due to the fact that again, change is constant, but not constantly enough. It's always got to be something, you know. And that's kind of one of the few things that I've never really thought about when I started content creation back in what, August? No, February of 2024. So I've been streaming. I've been a content creator for a little under a year now. Well, no, a little over. Yeah, a little over like a year and a half now. And I've got into VTubing itself not that long ago. So about like maybe 8 months. It's been little under 8 months that I've actually been a VTuber myself, and it's been a really interesting process. I'm not gonna lie to you, it's one of the most beautiful processes I've ever been part of, and it's also one of the few things that I've always, you know, why not? I don't. it's one of the few things that I've like always really put thought into, but I've never put too much thought into it. It's more of like I'll do it and see where I go kind of things, which honestly is not a bad thing to do, but it's also not like one of the greatest nor smartest ideas to have. Wow. And over these last couple of months, I've had ambitions, I've had thoughts, I've had a whole lot of things, and I've met a lot of people, and I've met a whole lot of people. And because of I've met so many great people, I've met so many good people that I've actually sometimes cried about it. I won't ever tell them, and if they find out through this video that I've cried about that, let them at this point. Because that's also one of the few things that content creation has taught me, is that I've got to get a little more comfortable with myself. Even if it's not one of the most beautiful things, it's one of the few things that I just gotta say yes to regardless, because it's one of those kind of like internal struggles you gotta like really look at and realize that sometimes you aren't really there for yourself, which sucks. Because I really wish I was there for myself a lot more often. But as much as I would like to say that I was there for myself, even as a young child, I wasn't. And I don't really want to go too much in depth about my childhood trauma, because we all got trauma. But it's more so of like, I've always been grown up, been told, oh, is that a staglight? Oh, I can get staglight. But if I've been grown up with the mentality of like, hey, just because you have it bad doesn't mean that there's anyone else out there that doesn't have it bad. Which sucks to have like as a mentality. And I've been kind of like internalizing that and realizing that, you know, it's okay to not exactly think that you've had it bad, but it's also not okay to completely invalidate your own experience because somebody else tells you to. And I've been realizing that, and I've been talking about it with my therapist as well. Which, shout out to your therapist. I can't really say your name because then that would feel like that would dox me in a way. I don't know, but it's always been one of those few things where you kind of can't really say no to, but you can also gotta realize that sometimes patience is one of the most greatest yet beautiful things you could do for yourself. 1, 2, 3, and forgive me if I do get sidetracked by some things in this game, because again, is this being a part of a new series? As I've mentioned, it being inside processes, this is going to be mostly kind of like the most raw and not really unfiltered, but like I won't really put too much thought into what I'm saying because I don't have a script to follow. Which honestly, if you know me at all, I don't really ever follow scripts. I just follow the moment, which is also one of the most greatest things you can ever do. Is following a moment. But it's also like, in order to follow a moment, you also have to kind of follow yourself in a certain way. I don't know. It's just one of those things where you kind of just got to take it by ear. And don't get me wrong. Oh, iron. It's always one of the greatest things to like kind of grow and realize that it's okay to be yourself. But there are times, Minky, do not be going behind my TV like this. I'm on TV. The monitor. You know you can't go back there, girl. Come on. Yeah, thank you. Always will be doing some shit. And realistically speaking, it's not going to be ever something that can be a constant change. Because even I'm not consistent with myself sometimes. Like, but it's also one of the few things that I want to work on. It's consistency. I fucked up. It's consistency right there. Well, girl, got to lock you out of my room. Of which it's 3:30. It's 3:04 in the morning. You should have food, but just in the off case, I'll be back, guys. 1 second. Are you hungry? You shouldn't be hungry. Are you hungry? Oh, you're so right. I forgot you've grown. Ah, there you go. There was still food in her bowl, but she can't really ever be satisfied with just a little bit inside the bowl. She's got to have it at least like halfway full at all given times, which is honestly cool and all. But it also kind of like reminds me that like she's a growing cat, and it's because she's a growing cat that I also got to accommodate her current needs a lot more. Sorry about that. Did not realize I muted my mic by like that. But it's like because because of that, I've realized that a lot of things don't also stay consistent with you. It's always gonna be like something new. I've realized that like again, because she's a growing cat, I need to accommodate her needs as well, especially her growing needs, because her growing won't always be consistent, but like her needs and wants will change over the time. Just like how I know she's gonna want to go outside tomorrow morning. As soon as I go, I'll be like before I go to work, she wants to be taken out. I do that. But it's also like one of the few things that I've also kind of never really thought about is that while I'm out here nurturing my own life, I also have to nurture hers. And honestly, the same could be said about a lot of things. As much as I want to admit that I got my life figured out, I know what I'm doing. I don't. I'm just realistically only really blessed to be in a position where I can be myself without really imposing on anyone else. Because as a man, taught from a very young age, you've always been told that, like, hey, you're cool enough. It's good to have your own wants and needs, but sometimes I did not mean to roast that. But sometimes you just really got to do your own thing. And sometimes that means sacrificing your needs or wants for something else or somebody else. Which isn't bad or anything, but it's also mean that I've been very self-sacrificing, and I really hadn't put too much thought into my own needs, rather always somebody else's. Which, mind you, again, isn't a bad thing. But then it's like, where do I draw that fine line between my wants and my needs over somebody else's? And then the more and more I think about it, the more I realize that it's not actually talked about. Like, where are people supposed to draw that line? Is it ever going to be drawn? Is it something that I have to consider myself? Of which I come into the realization that you kind of need to make your own boundaries. And I've realized with in content creation overall as well, people will and can get parasocial, meaning I have to establish my boundaries very, very early on, which isn't entirely that bad, but it's like, how do you draw boundaries? It's one of those few things like you kind of just got to learn how to do. As much as I want to say that I know how to do, I don't. There's a lot of things I actually don't know how to do for myself. And I don't think that'll ever change, realistically speaking. I think I'm going to go through life not knowing how to do things, and that's okay. Because there's anything I love to do, it's learning. I love to learn. I love to get into new things. I like to do pottery. I like to do a lot of yapping. I like to debate. I like to like exchange my knowledge with somebody else. I like to like build that human connection with people. But at the same time, I get tired of people. Also, one of the few reasons why I wanted to make this series is because, well, shit, I forgot to take out the coal. No wonder. Because, like, hear me out, guys. I fucked up. Well, that's okay. It's one of those few things where, like, you gotta really reconsider all your choices. You also gotta consider all factors inside of your life to make sure that you're not doing shit willy-nilly. Because whatever you do and whatever you say has an impact on people. Which sucks. But it goes to show that you must be a compassionate person. You must be a person willing to at least, if not accommodate for others, be understanding of others. Because not everyone has the same kind of situation as you. Not everyone's blessed enough to be able to confess or talk to people like you. But you also kind of like, you don't need to bend yourself backwards for them. You could just be like, oh, okay, well, that's nice to know. And then go about your day. There's nothing really stopping you from doing any of this, but there's also not really anything in place set to protect you. You gotta protect yourself. Which is one of the few things people don't really talk about. It's like, I feel like I'm going in circles. So this is the problem without having a script, is that you just go on circles and yap and yap and yap until you come back to the same point. But it's not a bad thing to come back and like to where you started, or like a point in time where you said something already. Ow. It's always one of the few things like it's good to have a starting point. And I think I've actually off track from the topic that I wanted to talk about. So I'm just yapping. I'm just talking at this point. But honestly, fuck. Honestly, it's one of those other things where you also kind of just sit with yourself and idealize, or idealize the idea of being put together, or at least being figured out. Especially when right now, what is it? August? Not August, fucking April 23rd today? Yeah, especially now on April 23rd of 2026. It's a very questionable time in life. Whereas people's moralities get questioned, you constantly have to be at war with not only yourself, but with others. But like, it's also kind of like these things where you've kind of really got to realize, like, some people just don't have the same amount of morals as you do. Which can be a huge conflict. It can be a really great cause of conflict. And unfortunately, conflict's something that's never going to change, even throughout a good point of our life. But I feel like with most conflicts, even if they're small or even if they're like something meaningful, there is still parts of your life where you can still coexist with said conflicts. You may not like it, you may not fuck with it a lot, but it's still a conflict that you can put up with. Or not put up with. It's still a conflict that you can still make amends with. Because the same way how I like pineapple on pizza, people don't. And I'm okay with that. Pineapple on pizza? We bomb. But to somebody, it could be the very bane of their existence. Now, that doesn't mean I can't have it. Because I still will eat my pineapple on pizza, but like, at least I could at least make sure that I'm not doing it overwhelmingly. I actually came from there, so I'm gonna go over here. But it's also gonna be like one of those few things where I can always kind of like reconsider and say, hey, it's okay. We may not like the same things, but the pizza itself, that shit bomb. That's good. Same way could be things about like aspects of life, like, oh, hey, just because I like this one thing doesn't mean everyone else has to. It's also one of the few things where you've kind of gotta really sit with yourself and be like, hey, what's something that I like that people might not like? And for me, it's a wide variety of things. It's also one of the few things that I've really never had the chance to think about because I always wanted to be like a people pleaser, even as a kid. Which, don't get me wrong, it's a good mentality to have, but it's also like a really bad mentality to have without moderation. Because then you'll be bending backwards for people that may not even return a favor to you. And so, kind of have to make means with that. I had to accommodate others, that accommodate myself, and over these past 2 years, oh, there's a zombie in here. That's a cave. Heard. Aha. Cave. Over these last few years, I've always kind of been like learning by myself over time that I don't really have to be understanding. I don't really have to be patient with everybody. It's cool to be patient with everybody. It's cool to like have like healthy boundaries with people, but it's also not like you need to bend yourself backwards to maintain that. Because if people aren't respecting you as a person and they're just straight up saying, nah, fuck your boundaries, you can tell them to fuck off as well. The power of saying no. That's. It's actually one of the most craziest things that I've learned about over the last couple of years. Is that I can just tell people no. And I don't have to feel obligated to feel sorry that I said no. I don't have to feel like saying no might be a bad thing. Because it's not. It's just basic self respect. And if they try to hold it over you, then I don't think you should be friends with that person. I don't think it's a good idea to maintain relations with that person if they're trying to hold something over you because you said no once. Or if you said no twice. Which sucks. But then it kind of goes into the aspect of like how people were raised differently or how people may see a lot of things a lot more different than you have or that I have. To tell them outright what they can and cannot do, that's restriction of freedom. Not exactly something that you really want to be doing with people. Maybe one day respect yourself. Respect of what they do for yourself later. I don't know. But I guess where I'm going with this is mostly that. Oh, this is easy. Hold on, I can do that. It's mostly like. I completely forgot what I was saying. I'm sorry. It'll come back to me. Hold on. You mean right? Decency, respect. Oh,